Now, Kevin, to kick this one to you, with Chris Paul being out for the next 6 to 8 weeks, just how significant do you think his absence will be for the Suns moving forward?
I think it's going to be critical for them. Not that they're not going to be able to hold their playoff stature until he gets back. It's not, I think that they're going to fall down 8 spots and kind of have to go into the play-in tournament. But I think they will have a significant drop-off, and here's why. So Chris Paul, we all know, floor general. Chris Paul obviously distributes the ball significantly and obviously very, very efficiently. They call him a point guard for a reason. A lot of games he has one, if not no turnovers. He can give you 15 points. He can give you 10 assists. Obviously, can play great defense on your guard and just overall be that extended coach on the floor. So when you take that piece out and you have to rely upon Cam Payne to come into the starting lineup and lead on a consistent basis, I don't necessarily know how that's going to work out because, of course, Cameron Payne has been the spark off of the bench, has been someone that has been able to score and distribute the basketball in short amount of time periods when Chris Paul steps off the floor. So I know what you're thinking. Well, they still have Devin Booker. Devin Booker's not really known for being a facilitator. Not that he can't pass, and I'm not saying that he can't handle the load as an individual himself, but they work best when Chris has the ball in his hands, puts Devin in good spots, sets Jay Crowder up in the corner for threes, runs the pick and roll with DeAndre Ayton. I don't necessarily know if Devin Booker is going to have that effect or be able to sustain that level of play while at the same time putting in his consistent points per game because he's averaging 25 and a half points. So if he has to put up more shots, or if he has to put up less shots to distribute the basketball to get other people the ball, we don't know how that's going to go. And I'm looking at this roster up and down, and I'm saying, well, Elfrid Payton has to step up. I don't necessarily know if Elfrid Payton should technically be on an NBA roster, but that's another conversation for another day. So when you look at guard depth, it's genuinely Devin, Chris, Payne, and Payton. Chris Paul is going to be out, so someone's got to be able to step up and distribute the ball. I know that they also have Aaron Gordon, but Aaron Holiday. But Aaron Holiday is only averaging 6 points per game, not really getting too much burn. So it's like, that's where I get concerned is the depth of the Suns' point guard position or the true one. So I think that they'll fall 2, 3 spots. I think that Golden State will end up surpassing them because they're just starting to get into a rhythm. They're getting healthy. I think that the addition to the addition of Bismack Biyombo down low to really give Ayton a break and give them some depth at the big position will give them an opportunity to really focus in on getting those big men the ball and creating mismatch opportunities for their team as well. But overall, I think Phoenix is still a great team. I think as they get healthy towards the playoffs, they're going to make a big run. But overall, Chris Paul's significant absence is going to be pretty big for the Suns moving forward.
And Kevin, I'm going to take the opposite on this one. I'm not too concerned about the Suns, and here's why. So, essentially, the way that I see it, actually, I pulled up their first game after the All-Star break. They were playing the Thunder Thursday night, and they beat the Thunder by 20 points. Pretty typical. The Thunder aren't that good of a team. But the one thing that kind of stood out, and it's kind of the point to go opposite of what you said, Devin Booker dropped 25 points, but he had 12 assists. So he kind of took that responsibility of what Chris Paul had as far as his facilitator role is. And I thought he did it actually pretty well in the first game that the Suns didn't have Chris Paul at their disposal. So now to focus on Chris Paul, it's going to be a significant blow for them moving forward for the next month and a half, potentially 2 months. But do I think it's going to really impact their stature in the Western Conference? Not too much. I think what they'll try to do is they'll try to cover up that hole with possibly one or two other players. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see guys like Cam Johnson step up, Cameron Payne step up. Now, we have seen those players in specific moments in the past and throughout this season. They played spectacular in moments. And to kind of give you an idea of like Cam Johnson getting some burn in that game against the Oklahoma City Thunder, I'm just going to pull up my phone real quick. He played 31 minutes. He scored 21 points. He had 4 rebounds and 5 assists. Not too bad. I mean, the guy's been playing consistent all year. I thought he was a huge factor for the Suns and their playoff run last year. So if you see guys stepping up in that way, where you see these role players, when they're given the opportunities to go out there and perform to the best of their abilities, these guys are being able to do that at such a high level. It shows me that these guys have confidence. when you have a coach like Monty Williams to back them up to give them the best chances to win from a strategic standpoint, I think it's in their favor to do pretty well despite not having Chris Paul in the lineup. Now, I will agree with you. I don't think that their top spot in the Western Conference is going to last. I think eventually what's going to happen is they are going to slip from that top spot. But do I think that they're going to fall off that much? No, not necessarily. I think they'll probably fall maybe a spot or two just because, you have to take into account Chris Paul is a huge factor for that team. Granted, he's not the biggest point scorer, but just the way that he's able to facilitate the ball, you have to be able to respect that. But all in all, this is a relatively young team, and I think that their youth can definitely carry them to a good position in the Western Conference playoffs. I think the one thing that I'm going to look for is whether or not that Devin is really going to take over in certain situations of the game. We always know that he could score at any time, but I think now you're going to see him take a little bit more responsibility, carry that on his shoulders. And I think with that said, I think the Suns are going to be all right. I'm not too worried about them, falling off a cliff because Chris Paul is not going to be there. I think they're in good hands. They have a great coach at their disposal. And I think all in all, the Suns are going to be a dangerous team in the Western Conference playoffs. And they have all the pieces to possibly make another finals run this year. I could definitely see that.